Guys, first of all, thank you for coming. We have with us our head coach, Mr. Gautam Gambhir, and the chairman of the selection committee, Mr. Ruturaj Gaikwad. Before we continue, I request you all to put your phones on silent. If you wish to ask a question, please raise your hand and please let us know who the question is directed to and the concerned receiver address the answer. Please put your phones on silent. We'll take one question at a time. Please raise your hands. Who wants to go first? Yes, please.
Ajit, can you just take us about the selection? Sri Lanka, please, why Surya was made the captain? Why Hardik was made the captain?
I mean, why Surya was made the captain? Because he's one of the deserving candidates. Yeah. One we know I've been around the group over the last year. You get feedback from the dressing room a lot. He's got a good cricket brain. He's still one of the best T20 batters in the world. One of the main issues, obviously, was you want a captain that's going to or likely to play all the games. I mean, we think he's a deserving candidate, and hopefully we'll see over time how he develops into the role. But as regards to Hardik, I mean, he's still a very important player for us, and that's what we want him to be, that player that he can be, because those sorts of skill sets are very difficult to find what he has. Fitness obviously has been a challenge for him over the last few years, and that then it becomes a little bit more difficult for, say, a coach or even us as selectors when you're trying to. Now we've got a bit more time till the next T20 World Cup where we can look at a few things. It's not rushed at the moment, and we want him to be, as like I said, he's an important player for us, and hopefully his performances are more important, and that was the thought behind it. Yeah, I mean, the fitness is a clear challenge, and we want someone who's likely to be available more often than not. And look, again, after saying all that, we think Surya has got the necessary necessary qualities that you need to succeed as a captain.
Ajit, in your tenure, this selection, two vice captains have been superseded. HARDIK obviously and Rahul. Is it not the logical succession plan has not happened? Can you explain and welcome
Thank you.
the best? Anything you tell me about the approach that is going to be?
You want to answer the first one?
Yeah, I wasn't there when KL was superseded, so it wasn't me. No, I wasn't selected then, firstly. And I just explained the reasons behind what we're looking at. We've got a little bit more time now since I've come, there's been a 50-over World Cup, almost followed by the T20 World Cup at that point. We've seen, and like I said, the fitness is a concern. Not just that, I mean, we also feel that Surya has the necessary qualities to be a good captain. Hopefully, we see that over time. 2 years is a long time, so at least it gives us a bit more of a chance to try and look at some things differently. And the main thing is we want guys who are available all the time here. And in this way, we also feel we can manage Hardik a little bit better. Because like I said, he's an important player for us. We've seen even in this World Cup, and his performances both with the bat and the ball are important. And that is more important to the team than anything else. Yeah. So,
Have you spoken to Hardik?
yeah, we speak to every player. Yeah, he's been part of the team anyway. It's not like he's been left out. So, no, we speak to every player. Well, if their roles are changed, and yeah, he's been spoken to.
Look, from my point of view, pretty simple. I think important is to give players the freedom. I think that's what I absolutely believe in, and not have a relationship which is of a head coach and a player. For me, the best relationship is a relationship which is built on trust, and that is going to be very important. I can promise guys that I think the most important thing for me is that they will always have my back. And I've always said that a happy dressing room is a winning dressing room, and happy and secure dressing room. So that's my responsibility alongside the entire support staff to make it a happy and a secure dressing room. And that's about it. For me, I don't complicate too many things, and neither do I want to complicate, because one thing we need to be clear that I'm taking over a very, very successful team. A T20 World Champion, runner-ups in World Test Championship and runner-ups in 50-over World Cup. So it's not that it's not a successful team. So yes, I think it's big shoes to fill, but then looking forward to it.
Gautam, can you tell us about your
how did this entire appointment came into being? Can you explain us?
No, I think I've got a fabulous relationship with him. Mr. Jaisha, I think we go a long way back, and all these speculations about different things, we've been on different pages. I think all this, I think we can do a better job from probably clarifying those things rather than putting it in the press, because we go a long way back, and so far I think it's been a great relationship. Hopefully it continues that way, because the betterment of Indian cricket is more important. Gautam Gambhir is not important. I think if all of us have our heart in the right place, and if we all of us think that Indian cricket needs to move forward, for that I think all of us are on the same page. So really enjoyed so far working with him, and hopefully I can continue the same in future as well.
Either of you can answer it or both. As players, both of you suffered from selectorial apathy at times and bounced back magnificently. In this case, players like Sanju, Abhishek, and Rutu being omitted from certain squads. Were they spoken to, and how would you put an arm around their shoulder, and because they would obviously feel a little bit hard done by.
I mean, every player who's left out feels hard done by. Our challenge is to pick only 15 to try and get the best balance possible. So someone's likely to miss out. Sometimes they've had some decent performances in recent times, but you've got to see who's picked ahead of them. I mean, are those guys not deserving of their place? If that's the thing, then there is things to discuss. But at this stage, I mean, we had an opportunity to give some of those guys, a go in the Zimbabwe series, which was good. So we have enough depth. If tomorrow there's loss of form from the players that are playing, or there are injuries, but it's tough. I think Rinku, for no fault of his, missed out from the World Cup. It's an example. He had a terrific T20 leading up to the World Cup, but it's sometimes just the way it goes. Unfortunately for us as well, it's difficult to fit everyone in the 15. And as tough as it is for the player, that's generally a life of a player. Yeah? That's why when you get an opportunity, you try and put up performances. So as soon as somebody who's ahead of you is not quite up to the mark, or there's an injury there, you're ready to pick. And you could take a lot of names. You've taken 3 names, but there are a lot of names, and it's tough on them. But that's just the reality. Yeah? We can only pick 15.
What about Ravindra Jadeja in Korea? Is he not going to be the part again, or is rested?
Yeah, I think it would have been really, pointless to take both him and Akshar for this short series. We know what Jaddu's done. He's had a terrific World Cup, 50-over World Cup. So, no, not at all dropped. I think all options are open, but either of them wouldn't have played all 3 games if we'd taken both. That was the thing. There's a big test season coming up where he's likely to feature in a lot of the tests out of that. So, I don't think 3 games would have mattered. I think we probably should have clarified that after the selection, that he's not been dropped. He's still within the scheme of things, and very important as a player.
We'll move to questions on this side. Yeah.
I have a question for each of you. Gautam, you mentioned that you're taking over a successful team. The fact that in the next less than 12 months now, you're going to play 10 important test matches and the Champions Trophy. How do you balance it out while starting your sprint, considering the challenges that are lying behind?
That would have always been a challenge, because when you take over in all the 3 formats, and more importantly that after the Sri Lanka tour we got a long break, we got a month break, and then we've got 10 test matches. I think that's not bad, because then you're playing continuously those 10 test matches with the big tour of Australia coming up as well. But then again, I think that is what challenge is all about, and more importantly really excited about it, and hopefully we can do really well in those 10 test matches. And the chairman has already said it that some of the players who did miss out on this tour to Sri Lanka, because there are 10 test matches, and someone like Ravindra Jadeja is very important for all those 10 test matches. So yes, I think really looking forward to all those 10 test matches.
Ajit, you mentioned the reasons for looking beyond HARDIK as T20 captain. You were not around personally when he was handed over the charge, but some of the members were formed. So in that sense, was it a unanimous decision to kind of look at other options, and what signal does it send to a larger picture that can't really take everything for granted as a player.
Yeah, I don't think any player takes it for granted anyway. I mean, every time you try and play, your place is on the line, you want to perform. I mean, these discussions don't happen overnight. We sort of discussed them through the last few months, leading up to the World Cup as well. So, I mean, these chats had happened before as well, and it's not an overnight thing where you just decide that someone should be captain or shouldn't be captain. There's obviously a lot of thought goes in. You get a lot of feedback from the dressing room as well. What sort of qualities that you're looking for, and I mean, the biggest thing is that captain should be on the park more often than not. I mean, that's a prerequisite really, and hopefully Surya does that, and so far there's never been a concern with his T20 batting anyway.
The couple of senior players that you'll be working with are Rohit and Virat, with those appointed to the captaincy of the WTC. How much quality cricket is left with the two of them, you think, that you will perform?
Look, no, I think they've shown what they can deliver on the big stage, whether it was the T20 World Cup and the 50-over World Cup as well. See, one thing I can be very clear of, I think both those guys have got a lot of cricket left in them. And more importantly, with Champions Trophy and a big tour of Australia, obviously they would be motivated enough because, and then hopefully if they can keep their fitness, 2027 World Cup as well. But this is a very personal decision. I can't say how much cricket is left in them. Ultimately, it's up to them as well. It's up to the players. How much can they contribute in the team's success? Because ultimately, it's the team that is important. But looking at what Virat and Rohit can deliver, I think they still have a lot of cricket. And they're still world-class players. And obviously, any team would want to have both of them for as long as possible.
Ajit, you spoke about Surya as a white horse and captain. Robert Sharma is the vice captain to white horse match. So could you please touch upon the white horse category sensitivity and where does that lead? The previous activities like Rahul, Justin Bumrah, or Rishabh Pant, as far as the future is concerned?
I didn't quite hear the question properly. I heard.
You described the 9 points about Surya as a captain.
Yeah.
About fitness, activity, Shubman Gill, like
Yeah.
vice captain. Where does that, can you talk about the 5 points of Shubman Gill as a vice captain, and where does that leave the previous activities like Virat, Rishabh Pant as well?
I mean, Rishabh's been out for a long time. Yeah. We need to get him back playing. That's the first thing. He's going to be a key to us as a player. Hasn't had a lot of cricket, so we've seen what he can do in international cricket. He's won Test series almost off his own bat. So we want him back playing. I think that's the first thing. You don't want to burden somebody again who's just coming back after over a year out of the game. KL, look, I mean, KL's not been part of T20 now for a little while. Again, like I said, you look at some of the feedback that you get. We've got a chance to reset the button a little bit. We've got a bit more time to plan. You want to try and see. I mean, this time T20, frankly, when Hardik did get injured, was a little bit of a challenge. At that point, Rohit wasn't playing, and Rohit was still around. Made our life a lot easier that he could come and lead. We don't want that situation going forward again. Shubman's the guy that we feel again as he's a 3-format player. Firstly. And seems to show a lot more qualities over the last year or so that we hear from the dressing room, and that's why we want to try and have somebody who can also learn from a couple of the senior guys that are there, Surya in this instance or Rohit who's still around, so we don't face the same challenges as suddenly trying to look for a captain in case there are injuries or loss of form somewhere. So that's the idea. Again, he's shown some decent leadership qualities, and we want to try and get him the experience that he can going forward, and that's the thought. There are no guarantees in life, but at this point, that's the thought.
I have one question each for Ajit and Gautam. Ajit, Rishabh Pant, ever since his return, he's mainly played T20 cricket. So, how did you weigh his performance, or how did you take a call of leaving Sanju Samson out of ODIs and playing Pant as the second wicketkeeper for the first? And for Gautam, you are someone who's advocated for players to consistently play all matches instead of picking and choosing. So going forward, how do you look forward to managing the likes of, say, Rohit, Kohli, or even Bumrah, who often tend to manage their workloads and miss out on assignments?
Look, I've said it before that workload management for someone like Jasprit Bumrah is important. But for a batter, if they can play consistently, if they're in good form, might as well just play all the games. And with now Rohit and Virat not playing T20 cricket, they only have 2 formats to look after. So I'm sure they're going to be available for most of the games. But yes, for Jasprit Bumrah, because he's one rare kind of a bowler which anyone would want. So it's our responsibility to try and have him fresh for most of the important games. That's why workload management, not only for Jasprit Bumrah, but for most of the fast bowlers becomes really, really important.
With regards to Rishabh, I mean, before his unfortunate accident, I mean, he's been a key player for us. Yeah. So now that he's back, like I said, you want to get him around the group again, playing again. So KL's been terrific in one-day cricket. We've seen he had a great World Cup as well. So yeah, unfortunately, someone had to miss out, and in this instance, it was Sanju. Look, these guys will have to keep getting runs, keep performing. Otherwise, there is another quality player waiting. Big test season coming up. We obviously feel these two will have a huge role to play. And to get Rishabh playing again, he's, like you said, he's only played T20 cricket. To get him 50 over will be another step forward. Hopefully, he can keep building on what he's done so far.
Thank you.
Now, the names of support staff that we have been hearing, you have worked with most of them. So, what is the road ahead? Like, how do you plan to, get all of them together? What's the thing? And Abhishek or the names you're hearing?
See, this is going to be the crux of the support staff. But then, as I said, that we still have 1 month after the Sri Lanka tour. Obviously, we'll try and finalize after the Sri Lanka tour. But importantly, yes, I've worked with people like Ryan. I've worked with Abhishek very closely in the last 2 months, especially during the IPL. So obviously enjoyed working with them. Absolute thorough professionals, both Ryan and Abhishek. Hopefully they can have a really successful stint with the Indian team. There can't be a bigger, better opportunity. I think so. Hopefully we can have a successful tenure as coaches, and really looking forward to working with the rest of the other guys as well. I've had some really good feedback from the players about the other guys as well. So really looking forward to working with most of them.
My question to all of you is, what are the learnings from your mentorship of actually LSC and KKR that you want to apply in coaching tenure? Or like how vast is coaching as compared to being a mentor?
My experience or my learning has been very simple. In a sport, it's all about winning. So I don't deviate from something like that, because we are in a profession where ultimately there can only be one winner. And we try and play fair, we try and play hard, and more importantly, we try and come back in a winning dressing room and a happy dressing room. And a happy dressing room is a winning dressing room. So very simple. See, I think I don't like complicating things. That's the kind of profession I'm in. And hopefully we can continue that way. Ultimately, it's the players' team. Support staff is there to try and maximize and try and get the maximum out of their potential, make them express the way they want to, give them a lot of freedom, and more importantly, try and make them happy as well, because sometimes international cricket can be tough, can be insecure as well, because only 15 can play, but more importantly, it's the job of the support staff to try and keep them in a happy space, and that is going to be one thing which we definitely will be working forward.
My question is for Arjun and Gambhir. Are you looking to have or planning to have specialized teams for all different formats? And is Surya's name been considered discussed for ODI team against India?
Sorry, specialized, I didn't.
Are you looking to have or planning to have specialized teams for all 3 different formats? And is Surya's name discussed for the ODI?
See, eventually going forward, these things happen. Like for example, Virat and Rohit and Ravindra is not there in T20. So it will happen. But can't say right now that they're going to be 3 different teams. I think T20 will obviously go through a transition with 3 seriously good players, world-class players, retiring from T20 format. But yes, in 50 overs and Test cricket, I'm sure I think the more consistent we can be, the better it is going to be. The more players who can play both the formats, it is always better for any team. So that's my opinion. I think Chairman can give his opinion. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I think it's on the same page, really. I mean, you don't decide having 3 different teams. If you've got players who can play all 3 formats, then you include them, yeah, because that means they're quality players. So it's just to try and find the best balance for the format that you're playing, whether that means it's the same players across 3 formats or different. It's just what works for the team at this point. you can already see. I mean, there are enough players who are good enough to play all three formats, and that's the case. I don't think it's anything's pre-decided. Eventually, you try and pick the best 15.
Sorry? Not in ODI. Surya in ODI.
No, we haven't discussed Surya at this point. In ODI, Shreyas is back, KL is back. They've had great World Cups. Rishabh is back as well. So there is some real quality through that middle order. So no, I think at this point, Surya is a T20 player.
Take last few questions. Yeah.
I have a question for both of you. Considering the rock pool, the test season coming ahead, have you had discussions who would like most of the test regulars to play at least one game in the
I haven't discussed with Gautam yet. This is the first time we've met, so we've had a few conversations. But we will look. It's not always easy, but there will certainly be enough players out of that squad that are likely to play that first game at least, because that's the only game that they can really play, that Duleep Trophy game. So we'll probably sit down and discuss which guys really need to play, and it's always nice just for the competition as well. If all your top players come and play, it's not always easy with such a packed and a long season. So it's sometimes tough for the players to, if they have a week off somewhere, to make them do that. But we'll try and see what we can do, and there will be certainly some players out of that squad that will be playing.
Last two questions.
Gautam bhai, can you talk about the support staff? I mean, did you got what you had requested BCCI specifically? And who are they? And who are will be going into execution? Like, I mean, Abhishek Nair can talk about what role he will be playing.
No, really happy with BCCI. They've agreed to most of the things what I've asked for. So I was surprised when I was reading all those news. But yes, as I just mentioned before, I think the crux of the support staff will remain what it is right now. But then we will finalize once the Sri Lanka tour is over. Yes, Abhishek as assistant coach, Ryan Tendeshkate as assistant coach. I personally feel, I think there could be assistant coaches who can probably involve themselves more in all the three departments rather than just focusing on one. And that is the reason why we now have two assistant coaches as well. And that is the way we're going to go forward as well. But yes, you'll get to know the exact support staff once the Sri Lanka tour is over.
And for Sri Lanka, who are will be going?
Yeah, Abhishek Nair is there, Sairaj Bautule is there, Dilip is there, and Ryan Tendeshkate is going to join in Colombo.
Yeah.
Gautam, this is an obvious question that about Virat Kohli. You had a kind of history with Virat. Both of you are playing for the country, representing the country, and share a good dressing room, as you said, happy dressing room. But still, there is a history. Cameras have captured that cannot be erased.
Yeah, good for the TRP, but my relationship is not public. What kind of a relationship do I share with Virat Kohli? I think it's between two mature individuals. On the field, everyone has got the right. I've said it many times before. Everyone has got the right to fight for their own team, for their own jersey, and want to come back in a winning dressing room. But at the moment, I think we're representing India and representing 140 crore Indians, and I'm sure we're going to be on the same page and try and make India proud. And I share a very good relationship off the field, and we'll continue to do that. But yes, to make it more public, that what kind of a relationship, I think it's between two individuals.
You had a chat with him after the
I've had a lot of chats with him, but sometimes, sorry,
after your appointment.
no, we shared messages. I think it's not important what we discuss, how many chats have I had with him after my announcement or before my announcement or during the games, after the game. I think sometimes just because we want headlines, it's not important. Right now, the most important thing right now is that we both are going to be working extremely hard to make India proud, and that's our job. He's a thorough professional, he's a world-class athlete, he's a world-class player. I've always said that. I've had huge respect for him as a player, and it's going to continue that way. And hopefully we can work together really well.
Absolute final question.
Have you had any discussion? I think this question is for you. Have you had any discussion with your as far as fitness, bowling?
So,
Have you had any discussions internally about the test bowling lineup?
Test bowling lineup.
Championships and all. And any update on where Mohammad Shami stands?
I mean, again, like I said, I've met him for the first time. We'll sit down and have a few chats. But you more or less know who your guys are. There are a few injuries at the moment. Some of the guys, some of the fast bowlers are at the NCA. We hope that over the next month or so, they'll be back up playing. Where Shami is at, I think he started to bowl, which is a good sign for us. And it's 19th September is the first test. That was always the goal. If he can, around then, if he can get fit. We don't quite know whether that's the timeline at the moment. I'll have to speak to the guys at the NCA. But that's the aim. But yeah, I mean that is a discussion because there's so many tests coming in India. Maybe you don't play 3 guys in the 11, 3 seamers in the 11. But going forward, there's a lot of cricket or test cricket that's coming there. So we'll need some depth. I mean, Bumrah, Siraj, Shami have been around for a while, which are the obvious ones. But we'll need some depth, and there'll be some conversations around it. But we've got some talent, and hopefully we've got a lot of first-class cricket coming up. So you can build guys up, and we'll have to get to have a look at some of the other guys as well. So that's a conversation we'll start having now.
Perfect. Thank you.